What is going on, guys? So today I'm going to show you what an identity column is, how to use it, how to turn off identity insert to bypass the rules of the identity column, and yeah, pretty much what it is. So let's start off with what it is. So if I do a select all on my table here, we'll see I have some rows of data and I have an ID column. So in the case that this ID column is an identity column, what this means is that the database will take care of auto-incrementing the value for you. So it'll start at 1, and for each row that you insert afterwards, it'll increase it to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, etc. What this means is that you're definitely for sure never going to have a duplicate value in your ID column, so it's great to pair this with your primary key, this identity property. And this also means that you cannot insert this column anymore. So I wouldn't be able to insert ID if it was an identity column because the database is managing that column for me already. It does not like when you try to insert. In this case, it's not an identity column in this table, but we will go into creating one and inserting data afterwards. So first of all, let me show you how to check if a column in a table is identity or not. So it's this command right here, select column property. Make sure you put the name of your table here. So test table is my name of my table. The column we're looking at here is ID, and then we're checking if it's identity, right? So let's run this query right here. So we'll see it's returning me 0. 0 means that this is not an identity column. So that means that it will not auto increment, but if it's a primary key, that means it's going to force me to insert this value every time. So what this means is that I have to manage this ID myself and make sure I never try to insert a duplicate, or else the database will throw me an error. Not ideal in application development, so that's why this identity property really helps you avoid these database errors. So in this case where I don't have an identity column, I would have to insert ID myself. So like put it like this. SQL Server is not case sensitive, but just for lack of confusion, let's give it an ID of 12 this time. Because, you know, I'm managing it myself. I made a mistake, and now we can take a look and we'll see 3, 4, 12. But it allowed me to insert it because it's making me manage it. It's not an identity column. One bad thing though is if a column is primary key, like this ID here, you can't set it to become an identity column afterwards if it's not, and I'll go into why. So let's go into why right now. I'll begin a transaction here so I can roll back everything if I need to. But yeah, so let's say I want to drop this identity column here, or this ID column, and then create a new one and give it this identity property, the auto incrementing property. Well, it's not going to let me drop it because it's a primary key column, and you'll see it does not like me dropping primary key columns. So then I can't run the second half and create a new column named ID that actually has identity, like auto incrementing and is primary key, because it's still in the database. It still exists. I never dropped it. So in that case, you're gonna have to create a new table. So let's just do that together. We'll create this new table. We'll call it NewTable. We'll give ID the property it needs, the magical property right there, and let's run this command. So we'll create new table. So now that ID is an identity, so auto incrementing, we can just insert values without that ID value. So check it out. Let me execute this. And now let's do select star from new table. Oops, let's not get rid of that. So you'll see ID was managed by the database there. I never told it what to give it. It already knew to start at 1 and incremented at 2. If I delete this row and I insert another one. Well, let's actually try that. What's going to happen is it's going to continue on and give it 3 next. It's not going to go back and give it 2, if that's what you're curious about. So if I do delete from new table where ID equals 2, and then I do this again, let's see what happened. As you can see, it auto-incremented it to 3. So it's going to auto-increment it no matter what. Once that record's been created, you will never see another ID or numerical value, whatever your identity column is called. You'll never see the same value twice. So it's great that the database makes sure of that for you. Okay, so those are identity columns. Now, really quick, I want to go into identity inserts. So there's a way to bypass the rule of not being able to insert in this column, and it is just to turn off identity insert, or turn on identity insert for the table, do your magic, and then turn it off after. So for the sake of that, I'm going to get rid of these where I am not inserting the ID, because that's using the table like normal, and I'm gonna insert the ID myself. So let's turn on identity insert for the table, and now I'm gonna insert my own ID, and now we can check this out. And you can violate the rules of the identity insert a little bit this way. So if you do like 7, for example, you'll see now we are at 7. So if I turn this off, if I turn identity insert off, I go grab those commands that I had again, and I do some more inserts, take a look at what happens with the ID. We now started at 7 and we continued on because we turned on identity insert. We inserted an ID of 7. That is the greatest one that it found now, and it's just going to continue incrementing from that point on. Why it does that is because it doesn't know if there's any values before that now, so it doesn't take any risks, and it just increments from the greatest value on, just to make sure that there's no duplicates for you once again. So that's pretty much it, guys. That's identity inserts, that's identity columns. Leave a question if you got any in the comments. I'll respond to them all. Drop a like if you found this helpful, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.